Hi, Juan. I wanted to give you an overview of um, uh, my feedback on your journal entries. I'm looking at this journal entries and I'm noticing a few things. First, I want to make certain that you remove these dollar signs. They should not be here. This entry was done for you, to be completely honest. So I'm not sure how the entry was changed, but I'm removing that because this entry should have been the first and should have been done for you. And I'm going to put that to make that correct. The second thing here is I'm seeing your entries are incomplete in a number of ways. First of all, whenever you're doing your journal entries, you should always have your debits first and your credits second. That's very, very important. Secondly, accounts what? I would assume it's accounts payable and supplies, but again, you have these in the wrong order and it's not good form. So it's very important to change that. Here you have cash as going down because you credited it. And then you have 6% interest for 2 years payable. The accounts that you should be looking at for your transactions should be only those that are listed here. So if you're looking at a liability, note payable would be more appropriate in that case, not this description here. It's more descriptive instead of being a specific account. And secondly, you're decreasing cash, which you should not. This entry here, for example, is not recorded correctly because it's recorded in, again, it's not following good form. First of all, the cash credit should be the last item here. And you're not reducing your expense. You're recording your expense. You're crediting when you shouldn't have. And secondly, cash that went out the door was $3,000, not $1,500. So you need to go back and look at that transaction and see what it's actually trying to tell you, to help you fix that one. Here, cash was paid for miscellaneous expense. Your debit should come first and your credit should come second. It should not be accounts at all. It should be you paid cash for this. So again, I'm not sure if you're not looking at these particular the journal, the chart of accounts, or what's happening here, but you're using accounts that don't exist on your chart of accounts. And we made these accounts here to make it so that you always know exactly what accounts you need to use and you don't have to create one from scratch. So again, go back with your chart of accounts and make certain that those accounts are correct. Secondly, your debits will always come first and then your credits. And this is also verified through your Pearson homework, or your Cengage homework, I'm sorry. You're going to enter your debits first and your credits second. Here, you're decreasing your equipment. In the description of this transaction, you are actually receiving equipment, so you shouldn't be crediting it at all. Secondly, here again, I'm not sure why you're using accounts, why you're using these account titles. These are totally incorrect. I'm not sure what you were trying to debit or credit here. You need to give me a call or email me because it seems that you're not understanding the process, and I guess you're not understanding exactly what the transaction is asking you to do, nor are you understanding the impact of incurring an expense or decreasing assets or increasing liabilities. Because these errors here, it seems to me that you're not understanding. Accounts receivable is an asset and it should not be going down at all. Increasing assets require a debit. Increasing revenues require credit. And here you're putting your credits before your debits. Again, good form is all your debits should be listed first and your credits second. And your entry should most certainly balance, and it doesn't balance in this case. So these are a number of issues that I've seen, and I'm thinking the same is happening here. Putting dollar amounts and dollar signs and not the dollar amounts. And you're putting your debits last and your credits first. It's just not appropriate here. So this entry here needs to be corrected. Although this entry is correct here, which is cash and receivable, this entry is incorrect because it's in reverse. The same here. This entry is incorrect. You're not going to be debiting an expense because you did that already in the previous month. And when it comes to the cash, you should, if it's being reduced, your credit, you want to put that second. Your debit should be first and your credit should be second. And again, as I noted here, you're telling me an account that I don't know what account you're referring to here. So I think you need to go back and figure out what the transaction is trying to tell you to do. If you are purchasing supplies on account, then again, baking supplies should be debited but listed first, and then you have to credit some liability. Here is the same thing. The entry is in the wrong order. Again, debiting your payable, which is good, should be listed first, and then your credit for cash should be listed second. Same thing here. We want to follow good form. This is important for accounting and in any future accounting courses that you take. You want to list your debits first. Same thing here. You have your order of your transactions incorrect. And again, I know in the end it doesn't affect anything, but you truly need to understand the process and why we do what we do, and also showing good form. But that means that you understand the process, you understand accounting principles, and you understand how to record and track these processes through the accounting steps, which we had a report. I think we had an assignment on that in the previous weeks. Here, same thing. There's no such thing as vendors payable. Your debits should come first. Your credits should come second. Check that. Again, these issues that I'm noticing are not monumental, but they really are the small nitpicky things that could cause a lot of problems when you're trying to close out your books. And when you try to transfer these transactions to your T accounts, they really need to be accurate and they need to be in good form. It really does allow you for organization as well as the flow of the transactions. Here, the transaction is recorded incorrectly because right now you're not paying cash. What you're doing is incurring the liability. You're incurring the expense that you have employees being provided services and they have yet to be paid. So cash is not appropriate here. You should not be debiting accounts wages payable because you haven't paid it yet. So that entry needs to be corrected. This entry here is not balanced, but it's also, again, you should never decrease your receivable when you're billing because you're expecting the money, not already received the money. And again, it's the same type of issues here, which I won't go into in detail because I think once you fix these errors here, any problems you've had on these transactions will most certainly be corrected. And I'm going to make certain here, these transactions, when it comes to your baking supplies sales, you really should not have to do the entry. All you need to do is copy the transactions right from here. Just copy them as they are listed. Nothing needs to be done except copying them and pasting them here. So this transaction here should have been based on the inventory tab. And the same, let me look at the other transactions that we noted. The same here. These transactions should come straight from in the same order. You should not have to do anything. You should just copy the transactions. And it doesn't look like you copied them. It look like you tried to create the transaction. Here, again, the entry is in it's in the wrong order. You should be debiting. Debit should come first, and your credit should come second, which I have mentioned. And here, this entry here is not balanced, and you need to fix that. There are a number of areas where you need to make changes, and I strongly suggest that you give me a call because a lot of these entries are, a lot of the errors that I've noted are repetitive. So once we fix the few that you have, and then you should be in good shape because you're not making new mistakes. You're just basically repeating the error from July to August and also to September. But again, reach out. There are a number of different changes that need to be made. They're not major changes, but they are significant enough for you to understand the flow of how transactions are presented and also how to increase various transactions, assets, liabilities, equity, revenues, and expenses. I hope this is helpful to you, and please, by all means, reach out to me, and I will go through each one of these with you so that you can understand how to fix them.